Hey everybody, it's Sublime79 here. Thanks very much for joining me. For those watching this now, thanks very much. I really appreciate it. I won't be keeping this. I won't be doing this too long, but hit the like button and subscribe as well. Seriously appreciate that. Let's enable the chat there. Keep an eye on things. Yeah, this is an article I found. It's fairly fresh, 22nd of March, which was yesterday. It says why the price of silver is still climbing. So I thought I'd bring it up. It's by this man here, Peter Krath. It's available from the Money Morning website. Thought we could just take a look. DB Stupid, how you doing? Here we go. Alex Cornroll Hunter. It's great to see you guys. Thanks very much for coming in. How's your weekend so far? Although I suppose it's still early days for my American friends. It's still pretty early there. Hey, Alex, how are you keeping, bud? Anyway, yeah, so if we have a look at this article, I thought, well, let's take a look and see exactly what this gent's saying. And there's another link to it, which I've got at the top here, and then we'll just take a look at the silver price. Quiet here, need to go fix the sewer pump. Oh, that sucks. Is that something you do? DB Stupid, is that, you mean a sewer pump at your house, or is that the sort of job that you do? Let's make sure you're on live chat, guys, as well. I thought we'd just get straight into this. I won't keep you guys too long, maybe 45 minutes at most, something like that. But let's take a look at this article. It says mine, not a job. Okay, right. The sewer pump. Do you normally have sewer pumps at your house? That's a bit odd. Sorry, I don't think I've heard of that. Is that something? Is that pretty normal? Right, this article it says the price of silver has been holding pattern since the late February, but that's about to end now that the Fed is getting out of the way, which is obviously great news. Today, I'll show you all the technical support silver is right now, plus my latest silver price prediction, which we're going to take a look at after this article. DB Stupid says, build my own system. Wow, okay. The flapper valve cracked, needs to be replaced. Okay, cool. Well, hopefully it won't take you too long there. Obviously, this was published on the 22nd. It says yesterday, March 20th, oddly enough. He says the Fed announced interest rates would be on hold for some time in the face of global risk weighing on the outlook of the economy. So obviously, this is related to the US economy. That was enough to take the price of silver out of its previously narrow holding pattern between 15 and 1540. The Fed's recent announcement was enough to push silver from 1530 to 1550. And if we have a look here, this is the silver price. We're currently just under 1550 at 1544 per ounce, up 7 cents. Oddly enough, silver price is on average the last 6 months is $1.09 up, which is 7.68. But that's great considering if you look at the last year, it's down a dollar within the last year. Last 30 days is down 45 cents. So on average, not looking too shabby. So hopefully we should see a lot of good things to come. The US dollar index took a hit, losing 75 basis points on news before clawing back slightly. Now it's looking more like the silver price's correction has run its course, and the metal is preparing itself for the next run higher. I'll show you exactly how silver prices and will rise this year after I break down the silver's latest movements. Obviously, this is just this guy's essentially his prediction as such, where he's looking at the rallying price of silver. Andre G's here. How are you doing, buddy? Thank you very much for joining me. What's the rallying price of silver? Like gold, silver prices have a tremendous run from the early November lows, and that's something I've tracked. About mid-November, if you guys remember the talking spot videos I've done previously, I pretty much noticed about mid-November we started to see an uptrend. So it's relevant in regards to that, which is interesting. They bottomed at $14, then peaked at $16 in mid-February. And that was a pretty quick move as well, if you guys remember that. It sort of just spiked up. It sort of broke through its resistance and then just went further up. That made for a 14.3% run, which is what I was talking about, which is still likely being digested right now. At the price of silver is moving sideways, and silver's near the 1535, means it's trading about 4% below its February peak. Since February, the dollar has also been consolidating. After a rally, they took the DXY above 97.5, and it has already given up about 150 basis points. So there's the US dollar index. It's currently at 96.01, and it looks like it's dipping there slightly. Obviously, you're welcome to check this place out. Just to recap, it's the Money Morning website. We make investing profitable. Khaled Paseka Coins, how you doing? How you doing? Steve Rice is here as well, Coin Collector. Great to have you. Right, so looking at these charts, if we make an almost direct comparison between silver and the dollar for the past month, we can also see a strong negative correlation. See below and how the dollar dips and the price of silver swings. Now everybody knows that whenever the dollar goes down, obviously silver prices go up. According to March 12th, the CFTC Commitments of Traders report, silver hedges have been reducing their short silver futures exposure. This suggests that they see the current price levels becoming more attractive. So obviously they're closing their shorts, and the more than likely they're going to be looking at the long at the long term. Hedging could mean expecting less downside risk. So obviously they're expecting more of an upturn in silver prices rather than obviously the downside. Although silver has so far bottomed below its January low of 1525, its recent action is encouraging. Notice in our 6-month silver chart that until now, the silver low at $15 has remained above the previous overhead resistance at the last fall at 1475. If we look at the silver seasonal pattern, we are at the point where the silver tends to reach a temporary March bottom before rallying to the end of April. So obviously, hence why he's noted this here. Oddly enough, noted that. So those would have been the two bottoms before they went up. Mr. Doughboy 356. Hey man, how are you? On average, the silver price does tend to struggle in May, June. However, given how undervalued silver, on average, the silver price does tend to struggle in May, June. However, given how undervalued silver already is by itself compared to gold, there's a decent chance it could buck its typical spring weakness, and that's obviously based on 3 important factors, which we'll have a look at later. Maybe, just maybe, the next rally can pull silver above the $16 high of late February. Now, there's some evidence that the silver can pull this off. Now, obviously, some clear evidence that obviously silver can break through. So, numbers behind the price of silver. While any near-term trend in the dollar seems difficult to determine, it has had a mild upward drift since early January. After yesterday's action, though, it's now lower on the year-to-date basis. See, there it is again. Sorry, that's the US dollar index, 96.5. I showed that earlier. So obviously they've just gone and pasted it again. Silver Wolverine, how are you doing? Awesome. How are you, my friend? Are you well? And Skull Treasure Hunters here as well. Thank you very much. Glad you guys can join me. I don't think there's that many people live streaming tonight, so I thought I'd just take the gap. Get myself on there. I saw this nice article. I thought I'd go through it. And it's fairly recent as well, so it's not like old news. With no more hikes expected from the Fed this year and the slowing of this bond drawdown program, it will now end in September. This was about as dovish as the market could expect. Quantitative tightening is coming to an early end. That's likely to weigh on the dollar going forward. Everything else remaining equal. So if the dollar indeed starts a downward trend, that should be additional wind for silver sales. So obviously, as the dollar dips, then the silver price goes up. The help from the Fed is coming at a perfect time too. Silver has marked a golden cross in the early February, and its recent pullback seems to, so far limited to its 200-day moving average. So obviously it went up to a nice high, and then there was a big sell-off. Everybody saw that because even I bought before that initial sell-off, and I was a bit annoyed. I missed about 2 days. I put some stuff and paid for it, and I was like, yeah, cool, I'm going to wait for it. And then it took a bit of a dip, but obviously prices have recovered now, almost back to that level, but we're almost there. Technically, silver is also looking good from the perspective of momentum. Notice that both the relative strength index and moving average divergence, big words here, appear to have bottomed along with silver in early March. So if we go back up here, so I'm not going to lose my place. That's what we're talking about there. Bottomed in early March. Make sure I didn't lose myself there. There we go. So far, these indicators have been confirmed what may be a new uptrend for silver, which is obviously great news. And much like silver stocks have been in a clear uptrend since mid-November as well. So again, as I was saying, I did the talking spot videos last year, and we looked at the spot prices, and I'm obviously looking at the who was giving silver a spot. But I did notice there was an uptrend there in mid-November, and that's what that goes back to. Also, silver equities are tracked by the Global X Silver Miners. It just formed a bullish cross as well, so everything's pointing to a nice bullish momentum for precious metals. And there's the cross over there. Very nice indeed. The next chart gives us a closer look at the last 6 months, including the golden cross in early February. So that would be that one right there. But perhaps even more significance in the action in the silver stocks to silver ratio, silver equities have outpaced silver's own gains, which we need to see from the rise in the ratio since late January. So silver equities have outpaced silver's own gains, which is interesting. Just going to check the chat. Rick G. Hey, Rick G, how are you doing, man? Are you going live tonight? I need to find the price to go down for a while. Yeah, Rick, you're going to have to do some more coin roll hunts, buddy. I think that's going to be the way to go. Unfortunately, I can't. I've got to like buy stuff. We can't coin roll hunt this side. Unfortunately, there's no more silver in circulation. But yeah, I think that's what everyone's going to have to do once the silver price goes up. Silver box silver's here as well. Hey, I hope you're fantastic. Going live in about an hour. Okay, so Rick G Profit Coins. It's going to shout out to that man there. I was on there. It was a couple of weeks back. He does some coin roll hunts. If you guys haven't been there, check his channel out. He's going live tonight. I think he's got 3 boxes apparently, which he's hoping to sell out, and he's going to upgrade the prize as well. So keep an eye on that. There's a final prize for everybody. Anyway, so getting back to it. In fact, the ratio is not. So obviously, we're talking about the silver equities versus the silver's own gains. It says, in fact, the ratio has not been above its 50-day or 200-day moving average. It's also been in the process of forming its own golden cross, which is the chart below. So, we're coming right up to it. And look at that nice little spike up. So this bullish setup with silver stocks rising faster than silver itself. So obviously the silver stock prices are going up quicker than obviously physical tangible silver. Suggests that we could be in for a decent rally over the next weeks and even months. Now that would be pretty awesome to get a decent silver run over a few months. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Silver for Fun is here. Skull Treasure Hunter. Awesome, thank you very much. Hit that like button if you guys are enjoying this. It's more an informative thing, really. It may not be for everyone. If whether you're at home, you just got it on, you're listening to it. Effectively, you don't need to really look at these charts. But thanks very much for coming on. 9 Dimes is here as well. So on top of all the bullish technical signals for silver and silver equities, there are also plenty of fundamentals driving the points higher. So overall, there just seems to be this awesome there's awesome news coming out in regards to the way silver is moving. There's very little negativity that I can see out there. But we're going to look at those the top 3 things that we need to look out for. There are plenty of fundamentals driving the points higher. If you want to maximize your profits on silver, I got 3 silver investments. Okay, well, he's obviously talking about his own thing. And then we move on to the next article. I'm going to close that one down. This is why silver prices will rise in 2019. The volatility of silver prices last year has been may have mass positions positive year for precious metals, despite hitting lows of below $16 an ounce and reaching highs of over $18 an ounce. The silver price still grew 6% on the year, which is fantastic. I was just saying there in regards to what the silver price was the last 6 months. Silver has gone up $1.09, which is 7.68%. That's great. Obviously, this is the man who did the article here. His name is Peter Croth. He's a veteran of precious metals market for over 20 years experience and has made his bullish silver predictions, obviously for 2018, and of course we're looking at 2019 too. Peter forecasts that the silver price will end up between 22. It says by the end of 2018. Well, that wasn't exactly where we are today, but that's where his essential figures were. He was looking between 22 and 24 per ounce. Those figures represent gains of 29 to 41% respectively from today's price of $17. It says the history of silver prices explains the new bull market. So back in the 1980s, the silver prices entered a bear market which lasted more than a decade. Obviously, this section here, I went over a separate video. It was my last live stream video. We were talking about manipulation in the silver market, and the references were to this, the 1980 and the 2011. So these 2 spikes here technically were manipulation. So even if you were to cut out this here, there was a bit of a run here, and then there was a serious decline that we can see all the way here, and then it started to go up. It says here the longest silver price crash in recent history started in March 27th, 1980, when the market plunged 94.5% through to 1993. So anyone investing in silver then would have been seriously hurting, because it would have taken them 13 years to start to see some sort of uptrend on their investment. Richie, thanks DB, I subbed back. Okay, so there's a couple of subs going on, which is brilliant. Silver Ripples just jumped in for a bit. Thanks very much, Silver Ripples. DB Stupid, thanks. Any feedback is always welcome. I'm new. Just for kicks, type 1 if you follow Zero Hedge, type 2 if no, type 3 if you don't know what this is. Yeah, if you guys want to check out DB's comment there and reply to it, that'll be fantastic. Silver for fun answers the door. Answer the door. Now it's my I've got my phone, because obviously I'm on the Hangouts. I can't see the chat, so my phone is in the background here. So let me just put that on silent. Yep, that's on silent now, so you won't get any more doorbells going. But anyway, before 2016, a rebound began. Silver prices suffered for 4 years. Obviously, that was back from this manipulation here. But the 4-year bear market was nothing compared to the crash 18 years earlier. The worst crash in the history of the silver price happened. Obviously, it was referred to as Silver Tuesday. I've got that in a separate video. I'm not going to go over this because I've already been it. You can obviously check my previous stream video when I spoke about that. We're talking about manipulation silver. Basically, these 2 brothers here tried to corner the market. They bought a whole bunch of silver futures, and they took physical delivery of silver, creating a artificial shortage. And of course the price went up massively. I think the highest it went up to was $49 before it obviously the government stepped in, and of course these guys nearly bankrupted themselves in the process. Okay, so since 1993 recovery, silver prices collapsed again in 2011. Well, again, that was because of a false rumor that there was a shortage of silver. There was, to a degree. There was a shortage of 4 nines fine silver bars, not 3 nines fine. The 3 nines fine silver bars were much more common. So what they did was to influence the market. They created, or they just piggybacked off that to say, oh, there's a silver shortage in the minute, and of course that caused a surge in silver prices based on nothing but false news. David Carlisle is here. How you doing, David? Arnie C as well. Thanks very much. We're up to 12 here. Really appreciate you guys here. Since 1983, obviously recovery from its peak. Now that we just started to see silver prices bounce back, that we could make right now one of the best buying opportunities we've had since 1993. Silver price is already up 23% since the beginning of the recovery in 2016, and that's even with the soaring stock market, which traditionally to drag silver, which is traditionally a drag on silver. The Dow Jones is up 49% during the same period. Silver stocks evaluations ratio is now higher than it was before the 1929 crash. Okay, so the bullish catalyst for silver prices for 2019, obviously strong demand. Now, obviously, we pretty much had, there was the major shortage of ASEs that were like in February already. There was already talk of, well, they ran out of American Silver Eagles, and that's mainly due to strong demand. So that's going to be one of the catalysts, which is going to obviously be a that's going to affect silver prices. So strong demand. We're expecting demand for silver to remain strong in 2019. Silver buyers aren't just investors looking for a hedge against risk or another profit opportunity, but they're companies that rely on silver to manufacture products. Everyone knows that silver is used in a lot of, let's say, medical or even from an industrial perspective. I remember even when I started, when I bought my first silver in 2003, and they were talking about silver, and the prices obviously were going to go up based on its demand from an industrial level. Because technically, if you think about it, naturally, if there's a higher demand, whether it's industrial or not, then it's got to push the price up, because all of a sudden there's more people gobbling this stuff up and are using it. So technically it should affect the price, but it didn't. Let's have a look. Yeah, Rick G's almost to 400 subs. Definitely going to be looking forward to that giveaway, Rick. David Carlisle, he's just saying hello to everyone there. I only see Bob the Monk says hello, silver lovers. Hey Bob, how are you doing? Thanks very much for dropping in. David Carlisle, he was the winner on the last score. Great guy. Are you happy with that that double incuse, David? That's a very awesome piece, man. It's one of my favorite pieces, but there's going to be another goal coming up, so watch out, guys. I'm going to be doing another giveaway between now and 1,000. Just keep an eye on that one. So roughly half of every year's production of silver is used by the industrial sector. So almost half of all production is used by the industrial sector. So all we need to do is really find, let's just say, another demand for that gap, and we could be looking at something different altogether in regards to the silver price. Sergeant Gold is here, man. Sergeant Gold, how are you, man? Jeez, haven't seen you for a while. I think I've seen you in South streams and that a lot, but thanks for dropping in, man. It's fantastic. I hope the gold price goes down so I can buy more. I know everyone likes sort of stackers. Look, I suppose you have to go with momentum. We all gain as the price goes up. So you're going to be slowly buying right now, obviously. But yeah, I'd like to see a sort of a higher price. It's always great to see that your investment is going up. It's a psychological thing. I know for me, I've also got crypto, and crypto at the minute is they're waiting for this sort of this boom to go up, and it's all primed for it. And that's the same thing with silver. I'm waiting for it to at least show me that it's able to go up, and that's all I want, is just to see that. But anyway, Silver for Fun agrees with Sergeant Gold. He wants a lower gold price. Funktad for sale. Hey man, how are you doing? How do you think the upcoming votes on Brexit will play on the PM market? Well, Funktad, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I personally think that we should be with Europe. My personal feelings are that we're Europeans, and some people might see me as being a Remainer, and at the end of the day, the only thing Brexit has really done has called disunity, disharmony between people. And it's clearly drawn lines, and it's just like a total mess, really, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm not really impressed with how things have gone. But I mean, my feeling is that we should be with Europe, whether that happens or not. I mean, obviously the vote's been done and dusted, but I consider myself European. If we're not, because we will lose our our European citizenship, then what the hell do we can we still call ourselves European? Well, we're not. But it just seems that there's a lot of disunity in regards to what would what Britain is versus the rest of Europe, and that's the only thing I've seen out of this whole mess is what it's done to people, and it's a shame, really. Anyway, sorry, back to this. What channel to look at to get info on gold? What channel to look at? Essentially, there is a fair amount. I mean, look, I tend to just look at the prices. Or I Google it. I just put in there silver prices 2019, or I'll put silver price news, and then an article pops up. So I don't have a particular channel to work off. But yeah, okay. So we're expecting obviously high demand. I said, plus the silver is critical for the jewelry industry. So obviously the jewelry industry, and they've seen, obviously stores have seen a 17% growth in the silver sales, obviously, and that's back in 2017. So more than likely you're going to be seeing this demand. 59% of stores, 59% of stores saw an increase in silver sales. That's fantastic. That demand is evident in the silver market. So obviously you can clearly see it. The PSLV, which stands for the Sprott Physical Silver Trust, I presume that's value, is it? Is a Canadian exchange traded vehicle that holds physical silver at a secure third-party location. It lets people own silver without the hassle of properly storing it, and that's probably why the reason why a sort of why a lot of people don't tend to go for the precious metal side, because they've got to physically hold it. I mean, if you think about the stocks and bonds, it's easy to, you don't need to take physical possession of it. So that could be where silver futures have done, or they've outpaced physical possession of silver, is that you don't have to take physical possession of it. Bullish catalyst for silver prices number 2 is the Dow Gold ratio. Many investors look at the short-term returns on investments or silver price today to make a judgment. That's fine, but there's a tool we can use to look at the long-term return. The Dow Gold ratio, the ratio shows us where we are on the long-term economic timetable and allows better predictions on what's going to happen in the market. Now, you might think the Dow Gold ratio has nothing to do with silver, but it does. In the past, when the Dow Gold ratio peaks, it's great. It's a great time to buy or hold onto your silver. In the last 100 years, after every peak in the Dow Gold ratio, the silver price has shot to obviously its highest levels. Since 1999, the last Dow Gold ratio peak, there hasn't been a high peak in silver prices. So obviously we haven't seen it. We've always seen a higher gold price, but we haven't really seen a higher peak in silver. And we think that it's still on its way. So, more than likely, there's a good chance there's going to be a nice peak in silver. Hold on to your silver so you're ready. So for the stackers, we're in it for the long run. Stephen Heath, how you doing, buddy? I am very well, and yourself? Make Ireland great again. That's Sergeant Gold. 9 Dimes. Who would not want to have physical silver? Lots of people. Investors don't want to take physical possession of silver. They would rather have a piece of paper that says what the silver is, because it's easy to transact. I mean, if you think about it, you have a piece of paper or a document that says you're trading 1,000 ounces of silver. Where are you going to put 1,000 ounces of silver? It's going to be very hard to take physical possession of that. So the silver futures tend to do better because it's easier to move. Jewelry is always costly. Absolutely, I think to me, jewelry is the biggest joke ever. They overinflate the price. Again, when you want to sell the jewelry on, or they'll only give you what scrap value is. And even, to be honest with you, the price of diamonds, the price of any sort of precious gem, the prices are minuscule. So they end up selling it. It's overinflated material. I mean, obviously, I've got a wedding ring. If I look at the gold value I'll get for this, that's all they will see it as. If you take your ring into the jeweler and you say, right, sorry, can you give me a quote for my insurance? And they go, yeah, no problem. They say, bang, here you go. This is worth 1,500 euros. And you go, wow, that's fantastic. And then you go back to them, let's say 2 weeks later, and you say, yeah, I actually want to sell this. How much would you give me for it? And the guy goes, oh, I'll give you, let's say put the scale on, drops it on the scale. That's 70 grams. Yeah, I'll give you about 300 euros worth. And you're like, well, hang on a sec here. You said to me it was worth 1,500. And they'll only pay you out scrap value. So I mean, to me, jewelry, I'll never buy jewelry other than obviously what I have, my wedding ring, and a watch. But I mean, even still, I don't physically inflate myself with jewelry. Mainly for that reason, it's just overpriced. I don't know if you guys share my opinion on that. But anyway, in the last 100 years, with every peak, the silver is shot. With every peak in the Dow Gold ratio, the silver price has shot to its highest prices since 1999. So obviously, there's still good interest there for the silver price to peak. And then obviously, bullish catalyst number one is inflation and a weakening dollar. And obviously, the interest rates are going to be put on hold for quite some time now, which obviously gives us the benefit from a silver value perspective. So it's all about watching what the dollar value is. Because of precious metals, silver hold their value over time. So it's like putting $1,000 in the bank. Now, do you think that is going to appreciate or depreciate? If you had $1,000, you left it in the bank, and you went, would you reckon it would be worth more or less in 10 years' time? And likewise, the same with having physical possession, or whether it's 1 ounce of gold for that $1,000. Let's say you bought an ounce of gold for $1,000. It's currently worth obviously a lot more than that. But do you reckon in 10 years that the gold's going to be worth more than the cash in the bank? Obviously it is. Anyway, as an inflation, the final starting to rise again, while the dollar slides, silver prices will grow. So the U.S. Federal Reserve said it's targeting CPI inflation rate of 2% to continue hiking interest rates. That the Fed is predicting more rate hikes in 2019. Okay, that's interesting because there was another article before this where they said they weren't going to be going to. So I think this might be a slightly older. And yeah, this is a slightly older article by the looks of it. Okay, so 2018 brought 3 rate hikes, which bring the inflation rate to a whopping 2.4% in July. The race has leveled off, obviously in Q4. Investors are still expecting more rate hikes in 2019. Bloomberg, not really. I don't really check Bloomberg for that reason, but anyway, explains in Jan 18 story that the Fed's preferred inflation calculation sells the rising price of goods short. The Fed preferred inflation gauge does a pitiful job of capturing the quandary facing many households that live paycheck to paycheck. This means that real inflation can be much higher than 2% or 2.2% measure that the Fed relies on. Points out, I like buying precious metals because you're buying and saving at the same time. Yeah, effectively that's why I'm slowly building up my I mean, it's got to be worth more in 10 years' time. So if I buy precious metals now, in 10 years' time, I mean, am I better having cash in the bank? Absolutely no. Am I better having precious metals that are going to rise, that are for sure are going to go up in comparison to cash in 10 years' time? I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. Funktad says US is now over $22 trillion in debt as well. That is a very interesting comment there. Yes, that's right. As well as the current debt crisis, which is effectively even the world debt crisis is going to be a problem. And I don't know how they can fix it. I know I'll say, oh, there's going to be a reset. How do you reset it? How do you write that money off? Someone is owed that money. So, how do you convert that? Which probably wouldn't make a bad video sometime, actually. Anyway, plus as inflation rises, the dollar falls, which can boost silver prices. Sorry, might have gone on what causes. Okay, so if we go over here, obviously this fella here, Peter, is predicting a longer-term downward trend of the dollar to be maintained in 2019. So as there's a downward trend in the US dollar going down, silver prices go up, and even a small rise we've even seen this year. Obviously, there was a slight rise at the beginning of the year. Since silver is primarily traded in US dollars, the declining value of the dollar means silver will appear cheaper to international buyers. Well, obviously, as myself being in the Eurozone, so I obviously use euros. The exchange rate between US dollar and euro, I get a better exchange rate, so I can see that. It's totally, I'm buying in euros, therefore silver is cheaper. But the premium is higher this side. That's one thing these guys don't forget, is the premium. We pay a higher premium than you do in the States. I mean, I look there, I think, oh, what was it? I think it was Silver Wolverine. I think he got some ASEs and paid was it $2.30 over spot or something like that. If I were to convert that into euros, it's about €2. We pay almost €4 guaranteed on premium wise on this side. But even investors know silver prices are rising in 2019. There are some common questions silver investors often ask about precious metals. What causes silver prices to fall? There are two events that can send silver prices lower. Firstly, the dollar begins to gain value, so obviously dollar strength. Second, surging stocks weaken silver prices. Obviously, a higher Dow Jones, effectively, or your stock exchange, because investors will move their money to where they think they will see the biggest return. And that's probably the only challenging thing we have currently in the precious market, because what I was saying there was people don't like to take physical possession. Investors prefer to just have a stock or a bond. As I said, it's just easy to transact. Whereas your gold and silver, you got to physically take possession of it. So that's probably the only challenge we currently have at the minute is the stock market. That means that they are more expensive compared to other investments, as it could be a sign of market correction. Sorry, I've skipped a bit here. While stocks have been on the tear lately, surging between obviously record highs of 25,000 level to a new record high of 26 in a matter of 6 days, stocks are reaching historically high valuations. So again, could that mean that they were overinflated? We're going to see a pullback correction. Who knows? What drives silver prices up? Obviously, fact number 2. I don't know if that's conservatively or conversely, low interest rates, declining stocks push silver prices up, because obviously they're moving the money out of the stocks and then you're moving it into your precious metals. So hence why it props up the value. Precious metals like silver are considered safe havens because they hold their value and even grow in price. There we go. There's another fact. It holds its value, like it says there. Safe havens because they hold their value and even grow in price as stocks fall. Silver prices will either move sideways or increase when the stock market dramatically dips. These hedging qualities are what make silver a strong long-term investment. That's the reason why we're up. Fact number 3, are silver prices going up in 2019? Peter Kraut, the guy who did this article, is predicting 2019 will be a bullish year for silver prices, but investors also cannot afford to overlook tailwind gold prices in 2019. So also got to try and balance it out. That's why this year I'm going to focus on a bit of gold, a bit of silver, try and balance it out. My long-term goal, I'd love to get an ounce of silver in one way or another, whether it's in weight. It's probably not going to be a full ounce, but it's going to be made up into an ounce based on circulated gold or fractional gold, something like that. That's probably the way I'm going to do it, and I'll be buying some silver as well. Obviously, he's put a prediction here. It says gold prices could reach $3,000 this year. Well, that would be fantastic. Anyway, we'll save that for another article there. That's pretty much it for the articles there, everybody. I'm just going to check the chat here. Let's have a look. So we've got Sergeant Gold says he got a 1/4 ounce Queen's Beast Yale. Wow, that sounds fantastic. Do you have the rest of the Queen's Beast series in gold there, Sergeant? No, sorry, in gold. The fractionals. So do you have the lion? Have you got the bull, the unicorn, griffin? I'd certainly like to know. Ice Cold Warner says so. Let's look at 1K in the bank for 10 years versus 1K in silver versus 1K in S&P 500. Now look at the last 50 years. Yeah, that's very true. So we're going to have a look at the. Let's have a look at the silver prices. Okay, so this is the latest chart here. If JP Morgan offloads silver shorts and it drives the price down, who lowers the price of gold? Well, I'll tell you what. If from an investment perspective, would anybody want to see the price? I mean, other than ourselves, but from an investment perspective, people want to see the price going up. They want to see the investment going up. I can't see how they would want to see a lower silver price, personally, from JP Morgan. But I suppose anything's possible. Who lowers the price of gold? Well, gold's floated, so it's bought and sold on the market. Do you have VAT taxes? We have VAT. Well, obviously in Ireland, if you were to buy, well, gold is VAT free, but if you buy silver in Ireland, it's applicable to VAT. However, there are various companies in Europe, Germany in particular, and even Poland, that do a VAT-free investment silver. All they do is that thing, it's called a margin scheme, where if you live in the European Union, you don't pay VAT. And that's what primarily want to do is to help reduce that. Because I had a look at have a look at this, guys. So you'll seriously, this is a website. I've never bought off these guys for this particular reason. It's called Bullion by Post. Some of you might know it, but there it is. It's obviously, they say free insured delivery to Ireland. Okay, so let's look at some silver. Let's look at now. If you think here, you go silver Britannia. Wow, okay, 19 euros. It's above average. Let's have a look at the Canadian Maple Leaf. So let's click on this one here. Let's see. Right, so we've got, well, there we go, $20. I mean, I picked that up cheaper, but okay. So let's go the 29 Canadian Maple Leaf. Nothing wrong with this. Plain as you like. Check this out. Right, if you buy one. I'm not saying that everyone's going to buy one, but look at that. If you buy one, it's 24 euros and 70 cents. And then on top of that, you've got 5 euros and 68 cents for VAT, which brings the gross unit price to 30 euros and 38 cents for 1 ounce of silver. Now, I can buy in Europe, or the website I buy off is CoinInvest, and I can probably buy almost 2 ounces of silver for that price. So this is one site I will not be using. I normally buy in because obviously I like a good variety. Sometimes I might buy 3. I've got quite a few Canadian Maple Leafs, so I might consider buying. Once you go 5+, look at that. Oh, only once you go 5 is at 18 euros, and then you're still paying 4 euros on VAT, which brings it down to 22. Whereas if I buy my stuff from Europe and that, I pay no VAT. I'll pay shipping, but I can spread that over, so I can buy 10 single pieces from different countries and not have to pay VAT. And then, of course, the shipping spread over it. So this site is, I wouldn't use it for that particular reason. But yeah, there we go. That's a typical example anyway. Just to answer your question, they do have VAT here. If you buy from some of the silver bullion sites here in Ireland. But yeah, 19%. I think it's, if it's I think it's 13.5, or it could be 19%. I know it's one of the two. They've got 2 VAT prices here. Andre G says gold is VAT free. Yeah, it's the same thing here. Gold is VAT free. So we can have a look there. $15.44 for the price of silver. And then we've got $1,313 for gold, currently up on the day, $12.88. So that would be Friday's close, because obviously they don't trade over the weekends. But that's pretty good. Sandy Taylor Photography's here. They only caught the tail end, but very interesting. Thanks very much for watching, Sandy. Sergeant Gold says he's got all the Queen's Beast quarter ounces. That's, oh man, that means you probably got 6 then. So you got Would that be right? 2.5 ounces? Oh, sorry, 1.5 ounces if you got 6 of them. Or is it 7 now? Something like that. David's just saying hello there. Andre D says, "Wow, that's expensive." I thought Germany's expensive. Yeah, I know exactly. You gotta watch where you buy from. Essentially, I bought my first lot when I first started to stack. I bought from Silver Gold Bull, and yeah, you've got to pay import tax. So I bought one load from them, and then I decided I've got to have a look around because it's going to cost a fortune. Because you end up with a big deficit in regards to the precious metal price itself, and then it might take you 20 years or something to get that back. We don't have tax unless it's on foreign. Okay, cool. So that's probably import. Silver Lamy 79 says, "I buy silver from Silver to Go," and yep, Silver to Go is a sister company to Coin Invest. So essentially, as far as I know, they are the same company. Just one does silver, and Coin Invest does a mixture of silver and gold. But yeah, silver to Go prices are pretty good as well this evening. Let's have a look just on this side here. So we've got silver price US dollar. Obviously on the daily change, it's up 9 cents, although it says 7 there, oddly enough. Last 30 days, it's down 45 cents. Last 6 months, it's up $1.09. So, which I think is great. So we can obviously see there's some sort of trend developing over the last 6 months that is pushing the price up versus a year ago, down $1.19. The last 5 years, it's been down $4.72, so down 23%. But the last 6 months, it's up. So something's going to happen. And likewise with gold as well. If you look here, so today obviously up $12. Last 30 days down 23. Last 6 months up 101. So Sergeant Gold, that's going to affect your the values of your Queen's B series. But I think with the Queen's B series in general, which I'm going to do a video on, the whole lot I have, I think it's a great investment. I would call that an investment because the values just go up. I think even Stephen Heath, you've got some Queen's Beast as well. Let's have a look. So a year ago on gold's down $50. 5 years though, look at that, down $10 within 5 years. Now, if you had cash sitting in the bank, I tell you what, the loss would be a lot more than $10. Not only that, you'd have interest to pay on the bank account. You've also got inflationary effects on that. Last 16 years, up $971. Wow. Sergeant Gold says there's been 7. Oh yeah, sorry, I thought it was either 6 or 7. The only ones left are the White Lion, the White Horse, and the White Greyhound. Correct. Has anyone got any pickups lately? No, essentially, I'm trying to offload a few more things first before I get any more. But has anyone got the Austrian series of? There was an Austrian series of coins, the Leopold, and there was another one had like a town scenery on the coin, which I thought was pretty. I like that horse rider on I think it's on the obverse or the reverse. It's got like a Norman horse rider. Very nice detail. Got my Yale today. Oh, there we go. Stephen Heath got his Yale. Awesome. Did you get silver and gold, or was it just the silver, Stephen? Funk Ted says I bought 6 BU peace dollars for 120. Wow, okay, so that's about average, about $20. If you guys didn't check, I did a what is your dollar worth from an inflationary perspective. I went through from 1879 to present, and oddly enough, the peace dollar was worth about that from an inflationary perspective. So regardless of the precious metal content, it is actually worth, from an inflationary perspective, it's actually worth $20. You guys should check that video out if you haven't already. Stephen E says 20 silver, 20. So you mean 20? Or was that 2 ounce? Is that 2 ounce silver, or did you get 20 Yales? Sorry, just checking there, Stephen. Just going to check the rest of the chat there. Stephen Heath says, hello, Mrs. Silver Liming 79. Well, you must have heard my wife come in. Stephen says he bought 20 silver 2 ounces. Well, I'll tell you what, that is a great way to invest in that series. And it's probably something I wish I'd done at the very start. We could have got 20 lions, 20 griffins. I reckon you'd be in the money based on the amounts that they're selling for now. Sandy Taylor Photography says bought a beautiful hand-casted art piece, arrived Monday. Wow, okay, we'll do a video for that. Okay, great, Sandy, I look forward to that. That'll be awesome. It's how long have we been going for here? Yeah, we've been going for 49 minutes. So I did say I was going to essentially be 45 minutes. I don't want to take much of anyone else's time. Obviously, the next, I'm sure there's going to be Rick G is going to be going on shortly as well. But I just want to thank you all there for jumping in. And Big Armory says, I'm buying all silver, no gold because of the ratio, almost 85 to 1. Is too hard to ignore. Absolutely. Look, I believe in diversifying. If you can diversify, you balance things out a bit. I'm sort of not, I wouldn't be the person to have everything in one and sort of, because essentially your bets are on that you're just relying on that going up, essentially. So I'd like to sort of spread it out and diversify, but I fully understand what you mean there. Yeah, awesome, everybody. Thanks very much for jumping in and joining me on the live stream. Sandy, thanks very much. A couple of shout outs. We got Andre G. We got Funktad for Sell, Sandy Taylor Photography, Stephen Heath, Sheffield EPNS, Big Armory. We've got Sergeant Gold as well. Thank you very much for dropping in. David Carlisle. He'd won the my gold prize in the last one there. So we've got Silver Ripples as well. Ice Cold Water. 9 dimes as well. Thank you very much. And one more. Silver for Fun. Thanks very much. I hope you guys have a fantastic day wherever you are. Stephen and I, it's evening on this side. So have a great evening there, Stephen. And to all the rest of you out there, Andre G, Big Armory, Silver Ripples, Sandy Taylor Photography, Andre G, Funktad for Sell, Big Armory. Have a fantastic afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Thanks for joining me on this video. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button. And then if you want to leave a comment, obviously you can always drop back in later. Thanks, David. Cheers. Take care. Wish you all the best. Have a great weekend. Yeah, I'm sure I'll probably see you on one of the live streams either way. And I'll see you guys all soon.